I'm Shirley A. Jackson. I'm a professor of sociology at Southern Connecticut State University.
My name is Winnie Yu. I'm a professor of computer science at the same school, Southern Connecticut State University.
I think we actually volunteered ourselves to be here for this conference because we know that our administration has expressed an interest in the university participating in Connecticut Campus Compact. However, we had not had any news about whether or not anyone from our university was going to be attending this year's conference. So I volunteered myself.
Well, I think it speaks to the fact that both Shirley and I believe in, that this whole theme of civic engagement, which is, we both think is key to our student success.
Right.
And literature has told us that, engagement, integration is so very important. And it really goes beyond the classroom. It goes, the commitment really goes beyond what we can do in the classroom. And it's a great way to tie in community and to help learning, to
Exactly, especially for those of us who have already been engaged in the community for so long. It's one of those things that we've been trying to get other people on our campuses to recognize is important, especially when it comes to the promotion and tenure process.
That's right.
And unfortunately, it hasn't always been seen as a valid area for our colleagues who may not be in disciplines where there is much fluidity.
Yeah, where it lends itself so
right,
naturally.
exactly. So I think for those of us who've already been doing this sort of thing for a while, this is now an opportunity for us to have some legitimacy
I think
to what we do
the
and what we
step,
believe in.
Right. The first step, I think, when we go back would be to raise awareness, across campus, among all departments,
Yes.
different schools, as to how, faculty from all different disciplines can all contribute or integrate, this whole concept of engaging the community into our coursework.
Right. And because it's something that our administration right now, although we do have an interim administration at the higher levels, because our administration is interim, we actually do think this is probably the best time to start putting something in place. But we also have a new liberal education program that began this fall on our campus, and a component of the program does allow for courses that have a civic engagement component. And we do have faculty who are interested in including some type of civic engagement component, although they may not in the past have even thought about it.
Right.
Now there is this new interest in something that they are actually trying to teach themselves. But it's really difficult if you've not had that background, if you've not had that understanding of what it means. And because there are also so many different terms that are thrown around when one talks about civic engagement, service learning, community service, I do always make clear that it is certainly not the same as an internship. That is the biggest thing. I think once you put that out there, it becomes clearer that it is a much larger animal, and it can go beyond, certainly, and should certainly go beyond just students being involved in the community, but faculty being involved in the community and being engaged as an institution. At my first teaching job, there was a faculty member who would take students on a spring break trip to New York. And he was doing something where he was trying to get the students involved in different activities in the community, working through a particular agency. Prior to that, though, when I was a graduate student at the University of California, Santa Barbara, we had faculty in sociology and also in the Black Studies department, where I would oftentimes teach, who would basically make it their business to pull me into certain activities or to inform me about different activities that they were involved in the community. So I think I was fortunate enough to have faculty that mentored me, who participated in activities that were off campus and that were truly embedded in the community. So that when I came to my current university, I had this experience as a graduate student, had seen someone in my department doing something with students outside of the university, and now I then became involved in trying to figure out what I wanted to do with myself and perhaps even with students on my campus, and in particular my department. So I think for me it was a matter of, this was a natural extension, if you will, but the hardest thing was probably trying to figure out how to get involved in the community, especially if you're not from that community. In some places it is extremely difficult to find a point of entrance. And then once you're there, what kinds of things really speak to you, and what kinds of things do the agency or the community members want you to be involved in that doesn't feel as though it's forced, or that you're just there for a quick moment and then you're gone. So that has actually been, I think, my starting point. And then from there, it's been sort of just, I don't know, I guess I would say easy sailing right now, because I serve on a number of boards in the community, and I do.
She's taken off.
Yeah, I do so much. I have to learn how to say no.
Oh, I think I'm in the STEM discipline. I'm in computer science, and if we, look around, I mean, the talk basically is in engineering and the technology fields. Very often, students feel that they are learning their discipline content in a silo, in isolation. So I think what could be the best way to bring in some relevance to what they're learning, is to tie it to a bigger context. And I think it gives students a motivation, it drives them, it gives them more of purpose than just learning the information from the book. So I also am a big believer of encouraging more girls to participate in science, and I think tying this, the learning of science together with, the social context of how they're learning could contribute to their community, to basically to their life. And that I hope that would become very effective in the teaching and learning environment in what I do.
I think, unfortunately, we haven't yet gotten to that point on our campus where there is a reward system that is consistent across all departments and schools. And there is probably a good deal of difficulty trying to assess faculty members who are engaged in civic activities, community-based activities, because some people probably do it better than others in terms of publications. And if you are fortunate enough to do something where you have an end product,
right,
or
or know to write it up.
Exactly. That's very important. Where you actually know that you should be writing this up, rather than simply seeing this as just something that you do.
Just from day to day, this is
right.
what I do.
Exactly. And I think that's the thing. It's I think it's the recognition that in order to be rewarded for it, it has to, unfortunately, be something that fits into a mold that is already there. But you have to know that it should be placed into that mold. You should be thinking about how you're going to write this up as perhaps a journal article or a teaching note, or that you perhaps should be presenting on this at a conference, or that you should be coming up with some type of assessment plan for an agency that maybe you're doing something for.
Yeah, I think on our campus, I think the first step is just to raise awareness, and perhaps to map the key elements of what one could be doing in civic engagement to the existing promotion and tenure guidelines, so that people are speaking the same language, so that people can understand. Oh, so this is how it could. This is how we're enhancing our teaching.
Right.
Okay, bring it into research, and just came from Richard's session. So we talked about how it also influenced the organizational culture. Okay, and also in terms of community development. So it's important to be able to take what seems to be a day-to-day community engagement, okay, and map it into the whatever you have, the lingo, okay, of faculty reward system, to make sense of it.
It may be something that is considered to be service if you serve on a board in the community, let's say, but also it could be something that is part of your research or creative activity if you're presenting on it at a conference, or if you're if you've decided that you're going to write it up for publication, it's something under research. So there are all of these different ways that you can actually be rewarded for it, but one has to know how to do that. And I think up to this point, there hasn't really been a consistent way of getting that point across.
No, right.
And if not everyone is acknowledging the importance of civic engagement, when one does see someone who is reporting on the activities that they've done, they still may not look at those activities in the same way that they may be looking at someone else's work. It may simply be construed as volunteer work or something that you're doing on your own. And that's also very difficult to put down on paper, if you will. Sometimes you do things because you are a faculty member at a particular university, but you're also doing it because it's something that is of interest to you, and those lines are oftentimes blurred. But you may have a university that is placing those activities simply into the realm of volunteer work. And that isn't really how we oftentimes see what we do, because we actually may see ourselves as representatives of the universities that we happen to be teaching at.
I think this institute has been this meeting has been very helpful by, at least for myself, show me that this conversation has already gone on for a while, that there are other people facing the same challenges, similar challenges, and it's just, the whole process of sharing and learning from what other people have gone through, how they did their planning, how they promote ideas, and we talk about culture change. Okay, how do they go about initiating that has been eye-opening for me.
I think for me, it's the process of actually being forced to sit down and work on something that is tangible. The fact that we were actually able to work collaboratively on a document, just sitting there and just typing things in and being able to share that information on our respective computers, but really thinking about the different activities and who was going to be involved in that particular activity. What are the timelines that are reasonable? Do we actually have an administration that is really supportive of what we're attempting to do? And I would actually say we do have an administration that is supportive, or else we wouldn't be here. We also have, a plan already in place that our faculty senate has been trying to get us to move forward in doing. Just the fact that we have that kind of foundation already made it a little bit easier for us to map this out for, this end goal. So it's been really helpful in that regard. I think one of the things that Campus Compact can do to help us to do some of the things that we want to do on our campus is to offer more funding for individual activities that faculty may want to be involved in. Several years ago, we had the Engagement and Service Learning grant that was a 3-year grant. And unfortunately, that was just it. It was a 3-year period, and it would be really nice to see something like that come back. I was fortunately one of the recipients of an honorable mention for that particular grant, and I had actually been telling other people about it and was planning to go for that #1 slot. And now it doesn't exist. So our Campus Compact Director, Sal Peterson, said that what they would like to do in the national Campus Compact is to have faculty participating in different capacities where we could actually help put something together that lets the Department of Education, or I believe the government, know what it is that we would like to use that funding for, and to hopefully get that money back.
I think to continue the good work, to continue in the conversation, it's important to motivate administration as well as faculty member to from everyone's day-to-day schedule to carve out the time and think about something that is more of a bigger goal, and just keep going.
Yeah.